All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Designer's Corner. This is our second episode. I am Crazy Canuck, and we have an awesome guest lined up today. But first, we are going to jump into our tip of the week. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about playtesting because I think it's a it obviously is a very, very important thing that you need to be doing. Um, and we'll just talk about kind of obvious why it's important, why we need to do it, and how to test things maybe with some wind that maybe not a lot of people know how to do. So um, here's a first hole that I built out last night, and I want to play test this because I have a few options off the tee here, but I want to make sure that they're all feasible, but maybe different levels of difficulty. So this right now is a roughly 380 something yard. I think it is something like that. Let's just take a look. 381 yard par 4. So I got a few options here. I've got I can obviously pull driver here, but I don't want that to be the automatic play here. So I want that to be a very tough shot. Second option would maybe be like a 2-wood or a 3-wood here, but again, I've kind of sloped the fairway down towards the water, so it might not just be an easy shot. I've got a third option of a kind of layup here with a 3-iron, 4-iron play here. That's the safest. Or I can be brave and hit driver here, which potentially can give me a better angle to the pin, whichever one I'm going for. So I just want to make sure each of these options work. I don't want this top play here to be super easy. So I want this to hopefully get right to about the end of the fairway. That's about perfect. That's exactly what I want, actually. So I want people to think, okay, that looks pretty inviting, but depending on wind, that could get you in some trouble there. I could have just rewinded the shot. Second one, not from there, is I want to test this opening drive here. And this one I want to be quite difficult. So as you can see, it's sloping from left to right pretty severely, but I want to make this so you can. Oh, that's got to get a better shot than that. Oh, I got a fast. So something I could, you could also be hitting if you've got a tailwind. You can just get rid of all that strategy and bomb it right over. So I like this hole because I think it's got a lot of options off the tee. But again, just making sure they all work. And you can tweak things like just by setting firmness of fairway, rough, roll out, all that, adding some elevation in the some humps and bumps in the fairways, things like that. So a lot of different ways you can tweak things. But play testing, very important. Let's clearly I have not rehearse this because this is awful. But anyway, I'm going to show people who don't know how to play test your course with wind, which is something that you can actually do now in this game for those that don't know. So you just head into local match and there's our swirling course. That was fun. And you go into search and you're going to go down into my unpublished courses, and then you can choose the course you want from there. And then you can set your course conditions there. So test out in different wind speeds, different wind directions. And yeah, really kind of tweak that what you want. So that's a nice thing that we couldn't be able to do. So there we go. That's our somewhat tip. I really got to have these a little bit better prepared. But anyway, we'll know that for next time. Okay, anyway, we're not here mostly for the tip. We're here for our guest, and we've got an awesome guest lined up today, which I am about to bring in here. So our guest today, who I am going to unmute right now, And there he is. It's Mr. Dan Griffith. Can you hear me, Dan? How are you?
I'm good, Andre. Thanks for having me on.
There he is. So, for those that don't know, Dan has been he's been around for a little bit. He is a Dirty Ankle Mafia member. We'll get into what that means for those that don't know. And he's been around since spring 2017. He is a college professor from Pennsylvania. He got about roughly the same real life handicap as me, about 12 to 14. Favorite real life course you say is Pine Valley. Is that one you play it, or you said you maybe?
I haven't played it, but I've visited it and walked all 18 holes and watched people play golf on it. that's about it. Close I've gotten, but right.
Yeah. And Falling Water Golf Club, your favorite? That's R.J. Wills course, correct?
Yep. Nice. Yep. And yeah, if you asked me like 24 hours after you did, I might have said another one. So. I'm not good at picking favorites.
He's pretty darn good designer. So, all right, so we are gonna play one of your tracks, which I'm just getting set up here. We're actually not gonna play Shelter Island, which is his newest, which was in the World Cup of Design. We are going to be playing Grove City, which was your first 2019 course, correct?
Yes, that wasn't a port.
Well, that wasn't a port, right? Yeah. Okay, so there we go. Just getting the graphics set up. Okay, so I'm going to create my match. Oh, this is a local match. I don't want that. I'll figure this out. Oh, no, I messed it up again. Great viewing here, everyone. There it is. And I gotta add you to the party. All right, I've sent you an invite.
Got it.
Got it. Perfect. And we'll create our match here. I think we're good. Do I have to invite you here again? I usually don't do this.
I don't know. I'm
working your way in here.
Thing. Blame party match. Here we go.
Dun, dun, dun. There he is. Oh yeah, I love the avatar.
Got my usual outfit.
I love the avatar. So we're gonna play turn-based stroke play on Dan's course, and I'm gonna try to beat him at his own course here. But I have not actually played this one before, so I'm excited to give this one a go. So let's get fired up here. Let's go.
Well, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to defeat me, Andre. I'm on a bit of a missed cut streak on web.com, so...
A missed cut streak, huh?
There's a reason why my forum avatar is MC Hammer. That's all I knew.
Ah, got it. I got it. I was going to ask you that. I'm like, why?
Little self-deprecating humor.
I like it. Okay. So let's. I guess we'll ask the question that we always start with. Specifically more towards design, though. But how did you discover the golf club and the designer specifically?
Yeah. So. I've been interested in golf course architecture for a long time, probably since I was in high school, because I was a nerdy kid. I was on the golf team, and
nothing wrong with the golf team.
Started reading, and I just got into it. And I got into some of the older games, like PGA 2000. There was also a Jack Nicklaus game that had a designer as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have the patience for for using the software really. So I never really got anywhere, but I was still into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, I just kind of went on a hiatus after I graduated from college. But then just, within the last few years, I don't know, I needed a new game to play, and I kind of thought to myself, is there a good game out there that has a designer? And I came upon the golf club. So I downloaded it, got into the designer, was completely intimidated, but I found a nice series of YouTube videos that some friendly Canadian had put together.
Oh,
And,
really? Started with mine, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So went from there.
Nice. I think a lot of people that are really into the design, I think just for all of us when we first saw what this designer, like, hey, we can actually design our own courses and actually doesn't look insanely difficult like those old designers where you had to, like, with all the little vertice triangles.
Oh yeah, like links I couldn't even begin to
right
begin to try and do anything with that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not, can't think of any other games that makes it the designing this easy. So all right, I'm gonna make a birdie putt here. Yeah. Oh, no.
How do we both par that hole? It's only 375.
I don't know. There we go. What's up, chat? Hello, everybody. Terry, Golfer Dude, Doily, G-Dog, Eric, Brighttail. Hi, guys. Is this an official show? I guess it's going to be an official show. We'll see, unless I make Dwayne upset at some point during this show that he takes me off the air, but we'll see. But yeah. Okay. So you are a member of this little design group called the Dirty Ankle Mafia, which when I first heard of you guys, I was like, what is this? But you guys have quite the interesting group. So maybe tell people a little bit about, for those that don't know, what this Dirty Ankle Mafia is, because we see them all over the TGC tours, the shout box, they're putting on different events. Like, what is this? What's going on there?
I mean, we're basically a bunch of guys who don't have lives. I mean, I know, Eric is, such an active member of the community and super outgoing and, extremely, welcoming and friendly to anyone who's new. I mean, he certainly was to me when I first joined the community. And, he and Terry just always just kind of had this connection, I guess. And they, kind of based on that, they decided, I think a big part of it was Eric getting the game on PC in 2019 because he used to be on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew they wanted to collaborate. So that's kind of how the Dirty Ankle Mafia was born. Dirty Ankle refers to a road near where Terry lives in North Carolina.
I love that there's a road actually named Dirty Ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the goats comes from, Terry's would often, refer to Eric's courses as goat ranches. And then once Eric actually made Terry's goat ranch.
Right.
And, basically it's just been, it's just kind of been on ever since. So yeah, I guess the original Dirty Ankle Mafia was Terry, Eric, Curtis, and Rob Scott, and then they invited Matt Fritsch along, and then I think they ultimately invited myself and Justin Seabach just because we were just kind of hangers on. They figured it'd be awkward if we weren't in it.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. So you guys do, there's a lot of collaboration going on, and I know you guys are constantly giving feedback on your own course, on each other's courses, and I mean, it's a really cool thing to see. So
yeah, it's really helpful to have a bunch of guys that I know that if I send them my course file, they will give it a look, and And it was fun collaborating on the Kiko Islands Par 3. And we also have another collab that Matt's kind of been shepherding um, along. It's kind of been, since we've all been in like contests recently,
Yeah.
it's been it's kind of gone a little fallow, uh, but it's almost done. So.
Right. Okay. This is going in the hole here. So this is your first TGC2 design, this course, you said? First
2019.
2019. That was your non-ported. Nice.
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah, so with this course, I mean, something you might notice is there's not a lot of yellow on the greens, but they're pretty firm. And the course actually is pretty flat. So, and this was based on, like, I tend to base most of my courses on real courses, really loosely, but
right.
This is based on Garden City Golf Club, which is it's a highly ranked private club on Long Island, but it kind of shuns the limelight, so it's not like it's really well known.
Okay.
But it's basically, it's just really old school. It was designed like in the early 1900s. So I just kind of wanted to make everything about this course as like old school and throwbacky as I could.
Mm-hmm. Looks good. I really like the aesthetics to it here. Oh,
yeah. So this is so there's not a lot of trees. It's a pretty open property. Mm-hmm. There's a few holes that are routed around an old abandoned sand quarry, and this is one of them. So that's kind of that big field of sand there.
I was going to ask that.
Quarry.
Yeah.
So we'll come back. We'll play 4 plays around it, and then we'll come back to it at 16 later.
Nice. So you've been in the designer long enough now. I mean, what do you really like about the designer in this game? What's something that keeps you coming back?
Well, I mean, what's really nice, certainly what made me not quit using it is how easy it is to just make tiny changes with sculpting and just seeing it happen in real time, like, and then being able to go and play test. So it just, like, the workflow is pretty good, I think.
Right.
It makes it really easy to get everything right if you know what you're doing. I would say just generally that's going in the quarry.
Oh, yes, it is.
I'd say that's probably my favorite part. It's not anything like really specific, but
yeah, this is I've just looking at this course, it seems a lot easier, but it definitely plays. It's playing pretty tough. That's got to sit. You've nailed the distances where it just feels like you can get there in 2.
Yeah,
but...
wait till we get to number 6. That's like that might be a polarizing hole because
really?
It's where you have a ridiculously awkward distance off the tee.
Yeah.
All right, let's try a 2-wood out of the quarry here. See how that.
2-wood out of the quarry. Oh, that's gonna get a nice roll here. Go ball. Nice. Chat is active. Hello, guys. Well, I'm gonna reach out to you in a little bit. If you have some questions for Dan, we'll get to those. And appreciate the activity in the chat. This is our first episode on TGC Tours TV. So the boss is here, Dwayne, it looks like. So we got to make this look like it's a really good show, or it's only the last 2 episodes. So that's going to be a putt. So we talked about favorite things in the designer, and I agree with just workflow and ease of use. Oh, what a putt! What a putt! What do you not like so much?
So I think this is kind of specific to 2019, but I just am having a heck of a time getting my bunkers to look good from a sculpting standpoint.
Hmm.
And I guess another thing and it's just kind of understandable, but I know folks mention this with like respect to making retaining walls that look nice, but for me, it's like how, like when you lay down, say, bunker textures, they just kind of blend together so easily that it's hard to get it's hard to make jagged edged bunkers. I know Terry was talking about this with Purgatory,
Mm-hmm.
how it's just so hard to get that look, and it's a look that a lot of the top new courses that are getting designed in real life by folks like Crenshaw, Tom Doak, Gil Hance, they all have that sort of rugged natural. It's extremely hard to achieve it as a designer, and I'm not saying it's. I imagine that would be really hard to do, but
Yeah.
but that's kind of like bunker aesthetics, I'd say, is kind of what I like least.
Right.
Oh, and the limited number of trees.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Like one thing I was that I think that I kind of mused about, when we were talking about new features for when 2019 was coming out, would be if they say, okay, you can't have like every tree in the theme, on the course because the game can't handle all that. But what if you could do like custom themes where you pick specifically what trees and grasses and bushes you want, and you have a certain number of slots to fill however you want.
That sounds like a good idea. I've actually never heard that before, but that's awesome.
Because that would be neat. I don't know if that's just not workable at all or what, but if it's a kind of a resources question, then that would be a neat feature.
Nice. Okay, some questions from the chat. Doyley's asking, how many hours do you think you design in a week?
It depends. Like during the school year, I'd say maybe 5 to 7. Sometimes more, but then like in the summer or like during the holidays, I can get in more, probably more like 12 to 15, I'd say. Not as much as I'd like, but I'd say that's about how many hours a week I design.
Okay. Terry has a question, but I don't understand what it is, so I'm.
Oh yeah, I think I thought.
Diluting Thanksgiving something? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, I think I'm losing you.
I have a family that lives.
There you go. I hear you now.
Very close. I have sorry, I was looking at the chat on my other screen.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I have family that live very close to Terry. Their Thanksgiving last fall, and said, "Hey Terry, how about we meet up?" And he just kind of blew me off.
Oh, Terry. Come on.
He didn't blow me off. It was, it's. I was only down there a few days, and it's Thanksgiving holidays, so we're both busy with family stuff. And...
Right. Hey Vlad, what's up?
This is the awkward hole.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I'm using here. I like it. I love a good short 4.
Yeah.
I tried to hit like a 90%. That didn't work.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The green slopes. The pin's at the front, so if you hit it easily enough, it might stop. But the green slopes pretty sharply back to front.
Right.
So if you just blast it long with a driver, you've got you're gonna have to work to make your birdie.
Yep.
But it's so short, you feel like, oh god, I can't lay up on this hole.
I know, that's the thing. It sucks you in. You're like, well, I'm gonna be long, but I gotta hit it anyway.
Yeah, and I designed the hole, and I'm still not sure the right way to play it. I'm gonna try and put a 2-wood in the front bunker there.
No, that's a well designed court hole.
And just leave me a
designer's
didn't
not
get
sure.
there, but
Brian Petty is asking you, who is your favorite real life designer?
Well, it's hard to say because um, like I haven't played a lot of the great courses. I just kind of read about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say of like just based on what I've read about courses and listening to architecture podcasts and all that,
Nice.
I would say it's probably Tom Doak. But I mean, I think the other people in his orbit right up there, like Gordon Crenshaw and Gil Hance.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't played any of their courses, so I played the Cradle at Pinehurst, which Gil Hance designed. That was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Played a few Donald Ross courses that
Mm-hmm.
I've loved. Every one of those. I played Oak Hill.
Oh,
I played Pinehurst number 2,
wow.
and played yeah. So I went to Pinehurst last summer and just decided to blow a bunch of money on playing 3 rounds of golf.
Beautiful.
So I played Pinehurst number 2, Mid Pine, and Pine Needles. And Pine Needles, they've hosted the U.S. Women's Open a number of times,
Okay.
and those are all Ross courses, and they were all great.
Nice.
Like the greens are just so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really pick that up just watching it on TV.
I guess we should talk about kind of what's been sweeping the design community here in the last couple weeks, and the incorporation of the LiDAR tool. Have you been dabbling in it, and is there anything you're working on you're willing to share?
Yeah, I've got a works in progress on the LiDAR thread going, so it's no real secret. I'm working on Los Angeles Country Club, uh, the North Course.
Mm-hmm.
So that was George Thomas design. So his most famous design is probably Riviera.
Yeah.
He also did Bel Air in Los Angeles. But yeah, I watched it on TV. I watched the Walker Cup that hosted it in 2017, and it's hosting the U.S. Open in 2023. And I just thought that course looks so cool. And I also I've designed another course, so Potter Lake, which was a TGC2 course that's been ported. That one was very heavily George Thomas inspired. Um, so I've just kind of always been a fan of his work. And once I saw that we could, doing RCRs wouldn't be so labor intensive, I just immediately, that was the first course that popped in.
Hmm.
So yeah, and it's such an easy process once you kind of get the hang of it. I know it's kind of intimidating at first. I didn't know if I had it in me to do it, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So yeah, basically I've had to do a little bit of tweaking around with the sculpting just to because the OSM tracings didn't match up with the terrain from the LiDAR.
Right, I can imagine that's a bit frustrating.
Yeah, and I look at a bunch of pictures, so I had to make a few minor tweaks, a foot or two here and there to try and get the sight lines to match up
Right.
with what the pictures look like, because that's what difference does it make if you modify the terrain like 2 feet where you're never going to have to drive
Yeah, no
to
one's
make the sight line match up.
exactly. You can obviously tweak to your advantage a little bit. So
Yeah, and then planting's tough to figure out. Okay, which theme really works for this course.
right, because some, I mean, I can imagine they'll be really tricky to figure out. So
I think basically the whole state of California doesn't really have a
it doesn't have a
particularly
theme.
good theme.
Yeah.
Maybe Palm Springs you can do the step theme, but
Right.
because like there's nothing that really it's really hard to approximate. I'm sure Arctic Fury could do it, but it's really hard to approximate like cypress trees
Mhm.
or those types of trees you'd see on like Pebble Beach or Cypress Point.
Right.
So, like for example, my course, the course in Los Angeles, it I'm actually doing it in countryside, even though it's the middle of a big city in Southern California,
Okay. Yeah.
because that's the best trees. But there are also palm trees that you can see at various points in the round, and I just decided I needed to sacrifice that because
Right. You can only do so much with what we got.
right,
Yeah.
because I just figured I thought countryside captured it better than tropical would,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
it's just kind of a sacrifice that you have to make.
Yep.
Oh boy, that could be in the pop bunker there.
Yeah. Oh. So you are coming off a very impressive showing at the 2019 TGC Tours World Cup of Design with your Shelter Island course, which a lot of people had picked as one of their favorites, if not their favorite. So, with that, would you want to talk a little bit about that course and how it came to be?
Sure. So, like as I was kind of mentioning, I tend to have a real course in mind that I'm sort of trying to channel when I design a course. And oftentimes it ends up being like two or three or four courses as the project kind of evolves. Uh, so that one originally I was trying to channel National Golf Links of America out on Long Island,
Yep. Yeah, know that one.
and I was kind of I had a few holes. I had all the holes laid out more or less as they are now. Um, but I was using kind of just a nothing special bunkering style, and I just kind of stopped and thought, and so looked at some of the teaser picks, and I said, you know what, I need to kick this up a notch now.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned to two other courses on Long Island, Friar's Head and Fisher's Island, and borrowed some visual ideas from those, and just really took a chance with trying to make all those sand dunes, and it ended up working out pretty well.
Nice. Yeah, it's the bunkering on there was just incredible. So, and yeah, you got to the quarters, right? Or semi?
Yep.
Yeah, quarters.
Yeah, I was eliminated by Mr. Petty's Martin Cliffs.
Right, you ran into Kamari Cliffs. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was a pretty.
once you get beyond a certain point, it's just the level of competition is just so intense
Mm-hmm.
that like I told myself going into the contest, like if I could make my way into the quarterfinals, I'd be thrilled. And I think I ended up designing honestly a better course than I thought I would,
Yeah.
and that still got me to the quarterfinals. But I feel like everyone else made
Oh, I lost you again.
Sorry, I might have been turned away from my computer for a second.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm trying to read the chat. I have my work laptop open
Oh, I
with
see.
the quick stream on it, so I lean over to read the chat and I lose.
Yeah, that was one heck of a contest with what we had for courses. There was a pretty strong field. Are you in the major design? Or no, you're helping run that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the judging coordinator,
Right.
so
Right. You got a big job ahead of you.
yeah. But we've got our whoops, I just totally stuffed that. We've got our panel assembled.
Good.
Got an excellent panel of judges. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to digging into these courses and
Because publish window
get
opens
them
when?
April 1st.
April 1st. All right,
Yep,
sweet.
and it closes on the 15th.
Oh, short window.
Yep.
Oh, robbed. So would you say Shelter Island's your favorite course you've built?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think for a lot of us, we feel like we're picking up new things and getting better with each course.
Hmm.
So it's like, in some ways, your most recent course will be your best one. But I mean, you could probably speak more to this than me because you've got more courses out. But uh, I feel like every course that I've put out has been better than my last one. That's almost always true. When I was starting out, I actually had a few bumps in the road,
Right.
but like my second course hosted a CCM major, and my third course I didn't even submit to the database because I didn't like it. So
Yeah, it's always the goal to try to improve every time, and that it can be tough to do.
it is, and you're not gonna, I mean, you think about like Tom Doak designing Pacific Dunes. He designed that in like 1999, and
Hmm.
you can't try and up the ante every time.
Right.
You want your courses to kind of have different personalities. So like I'm probably not like my next course probably isn't gonna seem as spectacular as Shelter Island because I just want to try something different.
Right. Well, then it might turn out to be spectacular in another way. Maybe not visually, but maybe
Right.
another way. So again, we've got Dan Griffith joining us. Pithy Doctor. Where's that name come from, by the way?
I think you have an idea of where the Dr. G comes from,
Yes. Yes.
but yeah. So when I got my when I got an Xbox One, I asked me for a gamer tag, and like I didn't even really like when I got it, I didn't even think I was gonna you know do much social gaming. So I just asked me for a name. I said, okay, Dr. G, and you know, no surprise, it was not available.
Right.
But one of the suggested ones was Pithy Dr. G.
Yeah.
And I mean, people who know me well know I'm not exactly like a gregarious guy. I'm pretty quiet and don't say much and don't say a lot.
Hmm.
So I felt like pithy kind of made sense. It fit me.
I love it.
So
You went off an
uh,
Xbox suggestion. I like it.
yeah, I know. And then I've just kind of kept it for everything, gaming related. So I just, Steam and TGCT and all that stuff.
It
So
works well. I like it. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions for Dan, let me know in chat. So for you, in terms of like we talked about hours a week, how about roughly how many hours does it take, do you think, to finish a course, start to finish?
I would say probably I'm probably in Shelter Island took me a lot longer because like I really wanted to get that right because it was a contest course.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'd say generally I take about in terms of just getting a hole that's playable or more or less how I want it, just
Yeah.
from a playing standpoint. So sculpting and surfaces and everything. I'd say I average about 2 hours a hole.
Okay.
And then planting probably takes me another, I don't know, 14 maybe. And then I probably spend, another, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours tweaking and fine tuning. That's a very rough estimate. So that comes out to about 60, I think.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I'd say I'm right around there.
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting at too. Do you think HB will use LiDAR? Oh, that's an interesting question.
I think they already do. They use LiDAR for the official courses for this game, for
Yeah,
the real.
they did for sure, huh?
I remember from one of their posts when they were talking up TGC 2019. They said that there'd be real courses, right, with like the bespoke objects that we can't use,
Right.
like like the Sawgrass Clubhouse. We can't use the Sawgrass Clubhouse,
Of course not.
probably because you know because Terry would put a bunch of goats around it or something, branding and all that,
Well, that would
or like the
definitely
FedEx
happen.
signs. You can't like we'd probably just like, you know, build a bunch of middle fingers around the FedEx side.
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah. I can see why they didn't give us access to all those. Um, yeah. Ooh.
Terry said 14 hours of planting. Holy crap! Maybe I'm overestimating, but I feel like it's probably, I don't know, between a half hour and an hour per hole for
Yeah.
planting.
That's quick. That's very quick.
Yeah.
So, in terms of building, let's just say a hole, for example, walk us through your workflow from start to finish.
Um. Okay. So, you did mention on the whole on the scale of a hole, but just I will talk a bit about my
I'm in the
workflow for
water.
designing course. Uh
Splash.
oh. I would say certainly for the course I don't really have a set workflow. I do different things with different courses. Like this course I actually kind of had tentative ideas for all 18 holes before I even been the designer.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously it evolves a lot as I'm working, but but like Shelter Island, for example, I just, set the hills to where I wanted it. I think it's like 70 or 80 and just went and found golf holes.
Right.
But so once I have a hole though, I'd say I probably do just like most people probably, I do sort of macro sculpting first. I get an idea of what I want the hole to be. I'll probably, maybe mark off some like a green site. I tend to measure everything out because I can't eyeball distances save my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll mark stuff off with the measuring tool in terms of potential hazard locations. Green's going to be, and then I'll start sort of macro sculpting um, based off of that.
Right.
If I need to. Sometimes if I found an interesting piece of ground, I won't really have to do much except kind of smooth it out a bit. But then I build my green, get an idea for what I want that shape to be, and then I probably put in my hazards in terms of bunkers. I don't really sculpt them at that point,
Mm-hmm.
but get an idea where I want those to be, and then I probably do this earlier in the process than other folks, but then I essentially start sculpting my green and figuring out where I want the pins to be.
Okay.
Because I kind of like to, for me, the contours of my greens and the strategy of the hole are kind of closely intertwined. So I
Mm-hmm.
tend to do a lot of work on my greens early on. So just sorry to interrupt my stream of thought here, but this hole is this is the hardest hole on the course, and this is the hardest pin on the hardest hole on the course. So the play, Andre, is right in, but you see the mounds of sand there.
Yeah.
Like in front of the green.
Yeah.
The play is to land it like right in
around
between
those. Right, because I'm looking.
So if you've got like a 4-iron, that's kind of perfect.
Oh, that's what I got.
And maybe shade it a little more on the left.
All right, designer tip. This is going in the hole.
Yeah.
Let's see how we do here.
It's a little to the right, but
not quite.
A little further left than it probably would have kicked on. Because usually if I get like a perfect when I land it, I can't remember what the perfect club is. It's like a 4 hybrid or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 5 hybrid is the perfect club, but not many people have it.
Yeah,
but
that's a tough one.
I was carrying a 5 hybrid when I designed this hole, so
so it worked out perfect.
So I'm like, oh yeah, like if I hit a perfect with my 5 hybrid, I'm within 10 feet, so that's a perfectly fair pin placement.
Nice. What's your favorite like type? Do you have like a favorite type of hole to design, like par 3 or long par 5 or short par 4? What do you like?
I mean, I'd say probably short par 4.
Right.
but I also love doing like kind of like par fives that are kind of right on the border in terms of reachable.
Mm-hmm. Those are fun.
Yeah, but yeah, short par fours I enjoy when like you can, when they're sort of in reach from the tee, but maybe like the risk involved with going for it isn't like super obvious where it's like, oh, there's water in front of the green,
Right.
or something like that. Where it's like, oh, if you're not really paying attention, you miss it on the wrong side of the green, like you're really, really, really gonna have to work to make birdie. I like kind of, introducing kind of subtle things like that,
Mm-hmm.
where like standing on the tee, I want you to go look at the green, and the person who actually does that and uses that information to plan their tee shot, like they're going to have an advantage.
Right.
So I guess back to my workflow, I think I was talking about green sculpting,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out where I want the pin hole locations to be. And from there it's just kind of, put the fairway in there and then play test it pretty thoroughly, just to get it, make sure I'm the shot that I had in mind that I want the golfer to have to try and come up with actually works how I want it and adjust accordingly.
Right.
And then I'd say I plant really late. Like I don't finish a hole and then plant it. I finish a hole and then move on to the next
Move on
one.
to the next and plant late.
And
Plant at the
plant
end.
it all at the end.
Yeah.
It makes the end stages kind of feel like a death march because I'm just planting grass everywhere. But I found that, I don't know, like my vision for what I want the course to look like, just it tends to evolve. It's like I get to know the course better as I'm designing it,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of what it is supposed to look like, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. Because yeah, I find I need to, when I design, I kind of have to visualize what a fully planted hole would look like. But I do realize that when I do that, I kind of lock myself into what I want my course to look like.
Yeah, like
really,
so sometimes like earlier on, before on some of my earlier courses, I'd like totally have like this bolt of inspiration when I get to, around like 6 holes in. I'm like, well, crap, I got to go delete all the planning I did on the other 5 holes,
Mm-hmm.
and redo it in this, with this proper, motif. So it's like, but that's just kind of the way I do it. I know lots of other folks make beautiful courses without doing it that way. So it's not the right way, but it's kind of what I've decided the way I have to do it.
Yeah, everyone's got a slightly different way going about things. So.
But yeah, that's pretty much how I do a hole.
Nice. So, chat. Do we have any other questions for Dan as we hit the home stretch on Grove City? Get up there. We're tied, by the way. So I thought you said this was going to be an easy match for me. What's going on here?
Probably because I'm not thinking.
Ah.
That eagle on number 4 didn't hurt either.
Yeah, that helped for sure. That was a heck of a putt. Who's your favorite designer? I'm guessing he's meaning, we already talked about real life, but favorite TGC designer.
Yeah, that's an extremely difficult question. Mm-hmm. It's probably Rob Wilson, RJ Wills, but obviously there are plenty of other folks whose work I admire a great deal, and I've learned a lot from. So, there are certainly, especially the folks who kind of think about golf architecture in a similar way to me. I tend to get pretty excited when they drop a new course. So.
Right. Yeah.
But I just like how it seemed, even with that being the case, like it feels like all the top designers, there's something about the courses that make them theirs that's kind of hard to pin down.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's got that style.
Yeah, it's like if I could only play Stay Puft courses, I'd be sad, right? As
Hmm.
much as I love Matt's courses, I would hate to have to go without playing Victory Lane Sports courses or Crazy Canuck course.
Right.
Um, so I mean, it's like listening to music. I could never just pick one style of music to listen to for the rest of my life.
Hmm. And just yeah, the fact that we've got so many just awesome designers now. Back in the early days, it was only a small handful of people that really could got a handle of what they were doing. But now it's we got 40, 50, 100 guys that are just yeah know what they're doing and can make outstanding courses every time they build one. So I feel it's like a golden age of design right now with everything that's going on, all the collaboration, the community's being very helpful with each other right now. I mean, it's lots of contests, lots of fun. I mean, everyone seems to like everybody. There's no one's hiding, techniques or things like that. So I think it's, the community, I think design wise is in a very good place right now. So
Yep, yep. So, Andre, it's your favorite type of hole. This is a template hole.
oh, are you gonna quiz me on what hole this
Well,
is?
if you want to guess, you can, but
Oh,
it's do you care to hazard a guess, or
I didn't look at
it's
the.
not it's not a Redan. I'll tell you
Oh, that was my guess. I do I have to look at the green to get an idea?
that. You can kind of tell from the tee, but
Hmm.
it's not one of the more well. I guess all the par three ones are famous, but it's not like it's not as distinctive as like a Biarritz
Right.
Redan. But
No, I off the tee. I could not tell you what this one is.
okay. So it's an Eden.
An Eden.
It's yeah, so modeled after the 11th hole at St Andrews.
Okay.
So the hole at St Andrews has pot bunkers in front, and then over the green you have the River Eden, and here instead of having the
Ah,
river, I've got the sand.
cool.
Um, so it's kind of like a death over the green. So if the pin's in the back, you got to be careful about going for it. And if the pin's cut kind of close to the bunker, you got to be careful. But if you do that, the green slopes sharply towards the front, so
Hmm.
you end up with a slippery downhill putt. It's like a really simple concept, but you can create some interesting situations depending on where you put the pin. Oh,
Oh,
what a
how
putt!
does that curl in? I don't know. Well, I needed that to take the lead here.
Yeah.
Um, so how about as we're wrapping up here, what are your three do's and three don'ts as a designer?
Okay. So I tried to come up with six things that like aren't maybe things that people wouldn't learn if they just watch your one-on-one series, for example.
Hmm.
Um, and some of them we've kind of talked about. So my do's are or have a vision for what you want the course to be like.
Right.
Um, obviously let it evolve as you're working,
Mhm.
um, but have some kind of vision. Don't just go in there and be like and have no idea what it's going to look like and just start laying stuff down. Second, I would say have a tentative routing in place before you start laying textures and sculpting and stuff. I mean, you can do obviously broad sculpting when you're just building the plot, but basically you just don't want to have to go back and delete a hole you did because you routed yourself into a corner, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it can be you don't have to have like every hole just figured out exactly what it's going to look like, but just a tentative routing to make sure you have something that functions. Um,
I just want to interrupt you here for a second because
yeah,
I love this hole. I would look when we teed up 17. I'm like, oh, 535 yards, licking my chops. And then I look
yeah.
at that tee shot and I'm like, oh,
So
uh,
this is a hole where if you really want to have a shot at getting home in two, you either have to hit it into a really tight space or you got to be able to do a fast to
right.
clear the bunker.
I like that.
Uh, so Yeah, that's like one thing I found I started doing is sort of creating those opportunities where you can reward the player who really has command of their tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got it, but I pulled it a bit. It's probably gonna get in the bunker.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, just having a tentative routing. My third is one that so I lose sight of it a lot. It's also a reminder to myself, but is use contours to create playing interest.
Hmm.
So don't just rely on water and bunkers,
Yep.
right? In terms of like creating holes that are interesting, because you can build a hole like that anywhere. So try and come up with a way to use your contours and your sculpting to make it look like that hole could only be built there.
Right.
Right. I mean that's like in a perfect way, but it's what's going to make your hole stand out. I think it's not going to be like 10 miles of retaining wall or um, 50 bunkers on a hole. It's going to be through kind of the contours, I think.
Right.
And it's hard, and but it's something I try and challenge myself to do. So let's see, don'ts. One is kind of something I see that less experienced designers tend to do is overlapping bunkers and green textures.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to make a bunker that's kind of eating into your green a little bit,
Yeah.
that's fine, but you should draw your green around the bunker.
Right.
Give it, as what some folks like to call it breathing space, so you can actually sculpt it without making your green look unnatural at the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a simple thing. Another don't, certainly for me, is don't worry too much about difficulty.
Mm.
I try to focus more on fun, right? And like kind of creating interesting shots, sort of, right? Or interesting decisions that a golfer has to make.
Mm-hmm.
So I focus more on those things than difficulty. And, I just kind of let the difficulty take care of itself.
Right.
And then finally, this one, I don't know, this one I couldn't come up with a really good third one. But I'll say my third don't is don't rush to publish. Good things take time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
To borrow an extremely trite phrase, but sometimes you see, I know I talk to a lot of folks who are reviewers for TGC tours, and a few newer people, they're just submitting new courses to the database.
Every 2 days,
every
every
week,
3 days.
Or two. So just take your time.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rush, and maybe if I would say try forcing yourself to spend an entire hour designing a hole. Right. If it looks like it's done and you're only at the 32-minute mark, force yourself to do more work on it. Mm-hmm. And see what you can come up with. And it's just going to get better because you'll start looking at more subtle things and taking care of more details.
Right.
And your work will get better if you force yourself to take the time.
Nice. So yeah, as we get to the last hole, I guess maybe you've touched on this already, but I mean, the piece of advice you would pass on to a beginner designer or someone that's just getting started.
Yeah. Well, aside from watch Andre's tutorial, I would say certainly don't worry, and I think this goes for more experienced designers as well. But don't worry about the number of plays your course is going to get mm-hmm. or getting on tour. I think if you're active on the forum, you post in the completed course thread, and maybe your first design you don't get a whole lot of doesn't really move the needle much. Don't don't lose hope or anything, because we see great new designers jumping onto the scene. It seems like every month, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're designing, you're putting out quality stuff, you're gonna get noticed. Um, so and maybe it doesn't happen on your. Most of us it doesn't. And I guess I would say, certainly reach out to. I think most of us are willing to look at folks' courses and provide honest feedback. Um, at the end, first of all, don't take it personally when we give you feedback.
Yeah.
And also don't feel like you need to show us every single little change you make. Like it's not like if we give you feedback, take it for what it is, right? You don't have to listen. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. It's your course. But don't then make the changes and then say, okay, here's another version.
Right.
Or
yeah.
you can with some people, but it's like at that point it's like you're designing for me and not for yourself.
Yeah.
So really just hang around and watch Andre design on his stream, or the other experienced designers, and you just kind of pick up a lot by just kind of hanging around and watching experienced guys work at their craft, and more than learning a laundry list of techniques, right? There's no textbook for learning how to design.
No, it comes down to timing. Taking the time. Yeah. Well, that was my first time through Grove City, and I loved it. That's an awesome course, and thanks for the play. You gave me a good run there. I think I did manage to nipped you by a few.
Yeah, you got me by 3. I kind of fell apart at the end.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So I want to thank Dan very, very much for joining us. I think that was again very insightful, and I love getting the opinions and ideas from all these different designers. So it's a lot of fun. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Andre. I really appreciate you having me on.
No problem. And for chat, thanks again. We will be back next week. And again, I have a form on, or I have a sub form on the TGC Tours TV board for any tip of the week suggestions. If you would like to be on a guest on the show, please sign up there as well. I'm looking for a guest for next week, so if anyone's interested, drop me a line in that thread there. So thank you guys so much for watching. The timing is perfect because we're 10 minutes away from what's going on, so stick around, and Dwayne and G-Dog will be on with the week's events on TGC Tours. So thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.